Stop everything. You're not going to believe me because it is a never-ending saga, a never-ending strange tale.
Meghan Markle was just one of the working girls for Soho House. Call girl, working girl, escort, whatever you want to call it. That's what she was. Being a deal or no deal girl. She was calling herself a model, and she was starring in a show Suits. She used to charge almost $30,000 per trip, which is why she was making good money. It wasn't on Suits. It was on her yacht.
It all started on a calm night in London. Outside the streets of Mayfair were peaceful and cool, but inside a private dining room, the mood was charged with tension. It wasn't just any dinner. It was one of those elite gatherings connected to the royals, where everything felt exclusive, secretive, and just a little bit risky.
Oh, that really is just so insane. I just never thought that my life would ever end up.
Among the guests that evening was Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, known to everyone as Fergie. Once a royal, now a woman who had learned to survive every storm. She flashed that well-known smile, the kind that hinted she knew more than anyone else in the room. Then, without any warning, she leaned forward. Her voice was calm, but carried a sharp edge that silenced the chatter around her. And then she said quietly, "Let's just say Meghan was Andrew's first client."
Miss Markle was a close companion to Prince Andrew.
The entire room went still. A fork slipped from someone's hand and clattered against the table. Even the laughter stopped halfway through a breath. Everyone instantly realized the weight of those 7 words. This wasn't casual conversation. It was a bombshell.
Meghan Markle was introduced by Sarah Ferguson to Prince Harry.
Before Meghan ever crossed paths with Prince Harry, her world was a very different one. Hollywood isn't gentle with newcomers. Roles were scarce, rent was steep, and success felt like a door permanently closed to most. But there were other doors, private ones, that opened into a world where opportunity looked very different from what people imagined.
A yacht girl, that's right. It's mentioned in the book. Meghan used to entertain as a yacht girl. Now, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying it happened, but I am saying Harry knows.
There were luxury yachts drifting along the Mediterranean coast, private islands, and glamorous parties hidden from the public eye, places where the rich and powerful met away from cameras. In those exclusive circles, deals were struck, alliances were formed, and introductions were as valuable as money. And if the whispers were to be believed, Meghan knew exactly how to move through that world with ease.
To people, she got started her yachting days and she never stopped really. I don't think any of her boyfriends knew about it, but Meghan Markle was known as a hardcore yacht partying person, ready for...
She wasn't a star yet, but she was impossible to ignore. Confident, ambitious, and fearless, Meghan knew how to stand out, even among the world's most powerful people. And that's when names like Prince Andrew started quietly overlapping with hers. Make it stop. What is this? The thought seemed to echo around the room. The same yachts, the same elite gatherings, the same whispered rumors. Nothing ever confirmed, but never completely denied either. So when Fergie said Andrew's first client, it didn't sound like careless gossip. It felt like a targeted strike, aimed directly at the most fragile part of Meghan's story. Her early struggles, her determination, her hustle.
Make it end. Make it end.
In the royal world, perception can cut deeper than any proof. Behind the whispers was Marcus Anderson, the quiet but powerful connector. Through him, Meghan met Fergie. Through Fergie, she met Prince Harry. And just like that, the course of the royal story shifted. But on that night in Mayfair, Fergie wasn't simply stirring old rumors. She was reminding everyone who really held the power. Because while Meghan may have been wearing the crown, Fergie still held the matches. And in that room, she had just struck one.
Markle was just one of the working girls for Soho House. Call girl, working girl, escort, whatever you want to call it. That's what she was.
Across the ocean, in Montecito, Harry's world started to spin out of control. The rumor hit him before breakfast, and by lunchtime, his phone wouldn't stop buzzing. He was furious. Not at strangers or the outside world, but because the leak had come from someone inside the family.
I mean, I'm not going to give you a big tease and then a big letdown. And this one is positively...
He had left Britain to shield Meghan from this kind of toxicity. And yet even thousands of miles away, It had found them. Back in London, palace staff scrambled to manage the fallout, calming reporters, drafting statements that seemed to say everything and nothing at the same time, unfounded, twisted, taken out of context. But Fergie's words were already too precise to be ignored. Then came the flashbacks, each person's past replaying like an old film on repeat. Fergie's own history with Andrew suddenly became relevant again. Her scandals from the 1990s resurfaced on TV screens, reminding the public of her reputation for stirring chaos. If anyone knew how to shake the palace without touching a match, it was her. Andrew's past didn't help either. His ties with Epstein and Maxwell had already cast a shadow over the family name. And now, with Meghan's name dropped in the same sentence.
And I wonder if Prince Andrew's going to come out and say, hey, Harry, I did your wife quite a few times on.
That was a crisis no PR team could spin. And Meghan? She vanished from the public eye. Her team canceled events. No photos, no statements, no appearances. But silence can be dangerous. Every day she stayed quiet, the rumor grew louder, edging closer to feeling like the truth. To fully grasp this moment, you have to look back. First, there was Fergie's fall and comeback. Once the dazzling Duchess of the 1980s, by the 1990s she had become the royal outcast. Her scandals were infamous, from the toe-sucking photos to money troubles and public humiliation. But each time the palace tried to shut her out, she found her way back in. That's why people believed her now. Fergie wasn't just reckless, she was calculated. Next, there were Andrew's golden years.
You notice how he completely avoids looking at Meghan Markle when she's around him or when she was.
He had been the prince who lived as if consequences didn't matter. Private jets, secret parties, hidden deals. For decades, he moved through a world where the rules applied to everyone else, but never him. Fergie's words now linked Meghan to that very world, the one the royals were still desperate to keep buried. And third, there was Meghan's rise, years before she became a duchess.
No deal girl. She was calling herself a model and she was starring in a show Suits. She used to charge almost $30,000 per trip, which is why she was making good money. It wasn't on Suits. It was on her yacht.
That was a crisis no PR team could fix. And Meghan, she vanished from view. Her team canceled every event. No photos, no statements, no public appearances. But silence is dangerous. Every day she stayed quiet. The rumor grew louder, inching closer to sounding like the truth. To understand how it reached this point, you have to look back. First, there was Fergie's fall and comeback. Once the dazzling Duchess of the 1980s, by the 1990s, she had become a royal outcast. Her scandals were infamous, from the toe-sucking photos to money problems and public embarrassment. But every time the palace tried to shut her out, she found her way back in. That's why her words carried weight now. Fergie wasn't just reckless, she was strategic. Next, there were Andrew's golden years. He had lived as if consequences didn't exist. Private jets, secret parties, hidden deals. For decades, the rules applied to everyone else, but never him. Fergie's words now tied Meghan to that same world, the one the royals wanted erased. Then, there was Meghan's rise. Years before becoming a duchess, she was just a woman trying to make it in Hollywood. She smiled on game shows, accepted small roles, and built connections wherever she could. Those yacht parties weren't for fun, they were for access. Every introduction brought her closer to the life she wanted, a life that eventually led her to Prince Harry. So when Fergie spoke, her words weren't random gossip. They were based on fragments of truth, glimpses of the past, and old connections the palace hoped everyone had forgotten. By the end of that week, no one was discussing what Meghan had or hadn't done. They were talking about Fergie, how she had once again turned a whisper into a weapon. In the royal world, power doesn't always come from a crown. It hides in whispers, in the knowledge of what people did, and in the courage to say it out loud. Sarah Ferguson had once been powerless, the duchess who lost everything. But now, her voice was the most dangerous weapon in London. Every headline, Every rumor traced back to her 7 words. Whether she intended it or not, she reminded the palace of a truth everyone knew but rarely admitted. Secrets are the real currency of royalty. While the press debated her motives, those close to the family knew the truth. This wasn't just a scandal, it was a chess move. Fergie wasn't shouting for attention, she was proving she still mattered. Even without a title, she could shake the throne simply by speaking truths no one else dared touch. Some said she was jealous. Others said she was strategic. The truth? She was both. After years of being sidelined, Fergie had carved her way back into the royal story. No invitation needed. She created her own entrance. Weeks passed, but the memory of that night in Mayfair didn't fade. The palace moved on with ceremonies and charity events, but the damage was done. In the royal world, a whisper is like smoke. It lingers in hallways, in the public's memory, and behind closed doors, everyone had their version of the story. Some believed Fergie was protecting Andrew, diverting attention from his troubles. Others thought she'd simply let something slip after too much wine. But the wise knew the truth. Sarah Ferguson never slips. Every word is measured, deliberate, and timed for maximum effect. Even Prince Andrew stayed silent. He neither confirmed nor denied it, and that silence only made the rumor stronger. Harry and Meghan tried to move on, but something had shifted. The invisible sting of embarrassment hits when your past becomes public property. And yes, it wasn't just one trip. There were many, and photos eventually leaked. To the world, it was a scandal. To them, it was deeply personal. It wasn't only about what Fergie said. It was a reminder that no matter how far they ran from the royal machine, they were still part of it. In the end, Fergie didn't lose anything. She didn't apologize, deny, or hide. She continued appearing at book launches, charity events, and royal functions, as if her words had caused no tremor. But those who knew her could see the truth. That calm exterior wasn't peace. It was triumph, because Fergie understood something most royals forget. True power isn't in a title. It's in what you know and what you're willing to say out loud. One whisper accomplished what entire tabloids could not. It linked Meghan's past to Andrew's disgrace, reopened old palace wounds, and reminded the world that no secret in that family ever truly stays buried. And as London returned to polite silence, one thing was clear. Sarah Ferguson may no longer wear a crown, but she just proved she can still shake the throne. In the royal world, the most dangerous person isn't the one with the most jewels. It's the one who has already lost everything and has nothing left to fear.